Welcome to the first video in the series of Manage Azure Identity and Governance. In this video I'll be presenting an overview of Azure AD, and these videos can be used as supplementary study material if you're preparing for the Microsoft AZ-104 exam. Azure Active Directory, or ADD, is Microsoft's identity solution for the cloud. I'll be focusing on Azure Active Directory specifically, and I will not be covering the Active Directory services for on-premises identity management. I'll cover those topics in the hybrid implementation and management of that in a separate video. You may have not realized it, but you may already be using Azure Active Directory if your organization is using Microsoft M365 products, which was formerly known as Office 365. As I mentioned earlier, Azure Active Directory is your identity management solution in the cloud. Azure Active Directory provides multi-factor authentication, self-service password reset, self-service group management, device registration, rollback access control or RBAC. Azure Active Directory also has application usage monitoring, auditing and alerting, security monitoring, and privileged account management. Azure Active Directory has the ability to use single sign-on for the thousands of SaaS applications that are currently available. You can also benefit from single sign-on for your internal line of business applications and get reporting specifically on app usage. I'll be briefly touching on integrating Azure Active Directory with your on-premises AD infrastructure, which is done using the Azure Active Directory Connect service, which allows for synchronization of accounts between your on-premises Active Directory and the Azure Active Directory. There are three modes in which this authentication can take place. We can use password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication, and federation integration. And as I've already mentioned, this is outside the scope of the video and is also not covered in the AZ-104 exam. But you should be aware of it, as hybrid deployments are not covered. This is an image of a typical hybrid deployment where we have a single server with the AD Connect install, and Microsoft recommends using the password hash synchronization for seamless SSO, cloud MFA, and obviously this is a cost-effective solution. It only requires one server. There are four Azure Active Directory editions that you can choose from. There is the Active Directory Free Edition. There's the Office 365. We'll not be covering that in this video, as that's an entire series on its own. We have Azure Active Directory Premium 1, or P1, and is a paid version, and so is the Azure P2. Let's take a brief look at each of these in a little more detail. The free edition is included with every subscription. With it you get user and group management, device registration, user-based provisioning, self-service password change for cloud users only, multi-factor authentication or MFA, on-premises directory sync, basic reporting, single sign-on for Azure, Office 365 and other SaaS apps, Azure Active Directory Join, and cloud authentication. Moving into the paid tier, starting with P1, you get everything in the free edition, plus self-service password reset, unlock, change, and password write-back. You also get group access management, Azure Active Directory Join, which supports auto-enrollment, self-service, BitLocker recovery, enterprise state roaming, dynamic groups, and Azure Information Protection or AIP, device synchronization, and conditional access, advanced reporting, and supports hybrid scenarios. P2 gives you everything in the free plus the P1, but it also gives you identity protection, privileged identity management, and access reviews. Azure Active Directory is a key component when you move to Azure, so getting a solid understanding of it will be imperative to your success as an Azure Cloud Administrator. In the next video, I'll be covering Azure Administrative Units, which was recently added to the AZ 104 exam. So see you in the next video.